We're here up in West Springfield, Mass. with Larry Pratt, and I'm here with Stewart Rhodes, and we are with
Dave Kopacz.
And you are?
I'm the president of the Massachusetts Republican Assembly and father of two.
So what are we doing out here today?
But we're here today to, well, first of all, celebrate April 19th as the anniversary of the first shot fired at American Revolution on Lexington Green. We were there earlier, did an oath renewal ceremony there, and now we're here in West Springfield. So I look at this not necessarily as just a gun rally, it's also a celebration of our heritage and all of the Bill of Rights. Everything that our founders fought for and everything that they've tried to prevent from happening again is starting to happen again now. So we're seeing a repeated long-term abuses of our rights, and so I see this as a stand-up for all of that, not just the gun rights.
Well, I'm here with Gun Owners of America. We were invited to take part in this rally, and it's associated with Patriots Day. And
the only reason I agreed to come and speak today was if they did not apply for a permit. I am not going to ask permission to speak. I am going to grab a microphone or a bullhorn or whatever I can. I will speak anywhere I please. And as I told the crowd earlier today, when you apply for a permit or take a license, you are turning a right into a privilege. So today, we didn't ask for a permit here, and we didn't have any problems here. In Lexington, they tried to pull a permit, and they reneged on that permit, and they had problems there. See, they can't take away something that we didn't apply for. Today, my message is I want to really change the public dialogue. I don't want us to be talking about common sense gun control for something that I view as a constitutional right, actually a right from God. It's not even a constitutional right. It's a right from our higher power to defend ourselves individually and defend our nation against tyranny. And I have faith in the collective wisdom of the people out there to use their head with weapons. I mean, it is a responsibility. Most people are very, very good about it. And, you know, again, it's a collectivist policy to try to correct something that goes wrong by stripping a whole segment of the population of a particular right. It's just not the right way to do it. And leaves people without defense. Not only individual defense, but defense against tyranny, which is what the Second Amendment is really about. And a lot of times people come up and they say, Dave, what is it that you want? And I got to say, I really just want to be left alone. It's no more difficult than that. I want to be able to run my life, raise my family as I see fit, and I don't need government holding my hand or picking my pocket in the meantime.
we really don't think the same. There's liberal think, and then there's Constitution think. And they really have this impulse for controlling everything. And they think it's perfectly natural because they know so much better than the rest of us, of course. And so they're surprised that we object to that. It's ill-mannered of us to object.
The media is doing an awful good job at just repeating the same old mantra, and they would have you believe otherwise. So unfortunately, there's a large segment of the population that will not come out to an event like this. They get all their information from the prostitutes on TV, and much to their own demise. I recommend people go out and really dig for their information, research these subjects on their own, separate of these special interest groups and influences. I think, again, we got all the fear-mongering of what's going on in Boston, and they want to try to tack that to groups like this.
It's not like you guys are out there burning crosses and shit.
The people here, as I mentioned earlier, about half of them I know, and I've met before. And there's some people that I'm meeting for the first time, like you guys. But, these are decent people. I interact with them outside of political ambitions. These are people that care about their families, they care about their communities.
But they might not understand the full spectrum and the degree of the resistance. So like I said, I think they might believe their own bull and believe that, oh, this is just, radical gun owners who want to increase gun sales or some kind of small, tiny percentage of gun owners. It's a lot. It's the majority of gun owners are starting to wake up. And the attitude of gun owners has hardened quite a bit since 1994, since the last assault weapons ban. Now they look back on that as an insult. They see how stupid it was and how pointless it was, and they understand the long-term agenda is to disarm them completely. And so they're just not going to play.
That's the same spirit that I think is rising. And if they want to mess around with guns, that's going to be to their own detriment politically. This is still a very potent issue, and the more they push, the more people seem to me to have a broader view of all of our liberties being protected by the Constitution. And so I almost am glad that they've been pushing this in our nose for so long, because it's gotten a lot of people right irritated.
And I keep hearing public officials in these panel discussions that want to make us wade into the weeds and discuss policies and common sense gun control. And I want to come today, and the questions that I have is, what are you going to do with me when I say no? Because I'm saying no. I'm not going to register, because register leads to confiscation, and I'm not going to have a government try to dictate how I exercise a right that I get from my God. So it's to help change the public dialogue. I want people to ask, you know, what are you going to do when I say no? And will I get a jury of my peers, or will I get some kind of a tribunal? Will I go to a gulag, or will I sit in my local jail? What are they going to do to me if I exercise my Second Amendment right?
It wouldn't last long, the confiscation, because once people realize they're really doing it, that's it. That's over the line. That's what the Second Amendment's for. The Second Amendment will be put into use.
We're on a short track to another revolution, another confrontation. The whole point of Oath Keepers, our mission, is to try to reach out to enough of the police and military, the guys with the guns, so that they refuse to be used as tools of oppression, and then it could be a very peaceful resolution. And the model we look to is to the 1989 fall of the wall in East Germany, where you had the Communist Party order the East German army to go suppress the peaceful protesters, and they refused. And without their support, that was it. 3 days later, the wall came down. So that's our number one model. But you can also look to Tunisia. You know, just last 2 years ago, when Tunisia had a little revolution, same thing happened there. The dictator ordered the military of Tunisia to kill the people, and they refused to do it. Without their support, he was done. He had to flee the country. So it can be done. If it can be done in East Germany and done in a third world dictatorship like Tunisia, it can be done here. So I never give up hope on that. But one thing is, we cannot disarm. And this is why, like here in New York and Connecticut, here in the Northeast in general, that's why we're here to support our brothers, because they're kind of in the front wave. It's kind of like being the front wave at Normandy. They're in the front lines in the current fight, and they're not going to disarm. What we're hearing from all the guys in New York and Connecticut is they're not going to comply with this new nonsense they're passing. They're not going to comply, they're not going to disarm, they're going to resist. And we think that's the right action. You know? So we hope enough of the cops will not enforce it, so that we have time, hopefully, to fix it politically or in the courts. We're reaching quite a few, and we've had stand-up sheriffs in New York, for example. Quite a few sheriffs, I believe about 32 counties have passed resolutions to nullify the SAFE Act. We've got state police officers who have told us they're not going to enforce it. And so Cuomo's going to have to go, find his special hirelings or bring in federal officers to help him. So we'll see. Hopefully enough of the New York cops say no. We're going to have a billboard campaign in New York focused on the police there. We'll put a billboard outside of the state police headquarters in Albany. But the message for all New York cops: don't do it. Respect your oath, respect the oath of the veterans. The last thing we want to do is have veterans and police officers pitting against each other.
Well, I really just got to encourage people to cast aside their apathy in general, even to get involved in local politics. I ask anyone who will listen to me to get involved in any way that you can in your local government. You can protect rights in more ways than you could ever imagine on a local board of health, a planning board, a conservation commission, a select board. We got to get back involved and stop turning the reins over to others who are perpetual politicians. So just get active. I'm convinced people will find the information. There's nothing, that's what I love about our initiative here, is we're not fabricating or making up nothing. We're sharing information that exists and is readily available. And I'm confident people, if they go out and do their own research and become active individually, they'll run into this on their own. They'll come to those conclusions organically.
Well, they need to recognize their place in history. There's a reason why you were born in America. There's a reason why you're here at this time. And it's not to sit on the couch, and it's not to get on your knees either. So understand your place in history. It's our turn. It's our turn in the breach. It's our watch. We got to stand up. And you do it for your children and your grandchildren. You're not going to make it out of here alive. No one gets out of here alive. All that matters is whether our kids are free. what legacy we're going to leave them. And it's our responsibility to clean up our own mess. Don't leave it to your kids and grandkids. As Thomas Paine said, if there is to be trouble, let it come in my day so my children may have peace. We're not supposed to be a nation of sheep. Yeah. It's not supposed to be a herd of sheep with professional warriors. Every American is supposed to be a warrior. Every American is supposed to be a soldier in the militia. That was the founders' answer to that ancient question of who should guard the guardians. We should guard ourselves. So we should be the militia.
When we got to my house, they insisted that I let them in. And when I did, they rifled through my home, searching for everything, through everything, underneath everything, in every room. Two officers, armed officers. I was not armed. I wasn't giving them a hard time. I let them know at all times that this was against the law, and they did not have a warrant to do so. But instead of resisting, I decided not to resist, because I knew if I had resisted that I would be in a different form of trouble than I was already in.